This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, just explain what is syntax and what is program and what is instruction and what are the instructions are there in Python programming language. And we've seen some words in Python like keywords and identifiers. And for explanation of the identifier, we try to understood the variables. Okay. Okay. So we try to understanding the variables. So variables means which are the name which can be hold some data in the memory location. Okay, we've seen some examples. And to defining the variables, we just assigning the data to the variables, right? Or identifiers, right? Okay. So, and after that one, and we have to follow some rules while you're giving the names for the variables or functions or class or whatever it is. Okay, if you're not following that specific rules, then we will be getting these syntax errors, right? So this is what we seen it, right? Okay. And and here in the rules of the identifiers, and you know what, so whatever the free defined names we have in Python, so those particular names we can't use it as an identifier. So these are the keywords we can't use as an identifier. Okay, this is what I explained in a previous class. And meanwhile, if you try to use some special characters in the identifier or variable names or else identifiers names, then you will be getting the this kind of syntax error, right? Is it clear my point?
Yeah.
And now, as for our commitment, so today would like to go for understanding the data types in Python programming language. So in my previous class, we understood the variables and the other stuff, right? So variables are always holding the data, right? So variables are holding the data. Is it correct or not? Holding the data. Is it correct? So you might be thinking what kind of data which can be holding. So which means the type of data. So type of data, we are calling it say data type. Data type is nothing else. It's a type of data. What type of data which is, and that we are representing with a name that we are calling it say data type. Okay. So in Python programming language, there are 10 data types are there. So that means the Python which is supporting the 10 different data structures. Okay, or structure of the data. So simply we can say the type of data is nothing but it is structure of the data. So structure of the data that we are calling it's a data type. What type of data or structure of the data that we are calling it's a data type. So here there are 10 data types are there. How many? There are 10 data types. The first one is, someone join. I think it doesn't have the name. Yeah, there are 10 data types are there. The first one is it's an integer data type, and the second one is a float data type, and third one is it's a complex data type. Don't worry about it. This all data types that I can explain you one after one. I'm just listing it here. So what are the data types are there in a Python programming language? And int, float, complex, and the fourth one is it's a Boolean data type, and fifth one is which is the none type. Okay, and the sixth one is which is a string data type, and seventh one is which is the list, eighth one is tuple, and ninth one is set data type, and 10th one is dictionary data type. Okay, see here there are 10 data types are there. Don't worry about it if you are not met any data type before at. So here I can explain you in detail. Okay, any questions?
No,
Sumit, Vamsi, is there
no,
any questions here?
no questions, Chandan.
Sure.
So far it's fine. So now let's talk about integer data type. So integer data type, so basically every data type which is having its own predefined class. So basically data type is means which is representing the data, right? So in Python programming language, the data we are calling it's an object. Okay, so basically object which is comes from the classes. So objects are created by classes. Okay, so here integer data is the object and which is created by the class. Okay, which is created by the class. The name of the class is int class. So here integer data is an object, okay. So this particular integer data, any integer data which is derived from the, okay, int class. So this int class is the free defined class. Okay, this particular this is the int free defined, this is int class which is already defined inside of the Python. You're not defining and I'm not defining it. Okay, so this int class which is already defined in Python programming language, so that particular int class only which is representing the as a integer data, because of Python is the dynamic programming language. So one thing we need to remember, Python is dynamic programming language. So which means usually other programming languages, if you want to define the variable, we have to specify the data type. But in Python, we don't need to specify the data type. In Python, we don't need to specify the data type before using it. You need to specify the data type to variables before using. Okay, but in other programming languages, before using any one of the name, we should we need to specify what type of data the variable can be hold, on which memory location this variable can be representing. So that kind of information, so in other programming languages we have to be follow it, but in Python programming language. So hi Jai, how are you? Hello Jai, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Jay, I think you missed the last two classes, right?
No, I was here Friday. I couldn't come Thursday.
Okay. You there in a Friday class?
Yeah, I was there. We went over lens and you went over a couple things.
Okay. Oh, I thought like, so you are not at in a Friday class. Okay.
Yeah, you went keywords and identifiers. I think that's what you
Oh,
did
that's
that.
great. You are in the track then. Okay. So I thought like you are not in the session. Okay. That's fine. Actually, in a last class, I already told you, right? We are going to discussing about 10 data types, right? So I
Yeah,
listed 10 data types. So I would like to go for discussing one by one. Okay. So before we understanding, before we are going to be understanding the any data type, so the basic thing we need to remember actually. Okay, so in Python programming languages, in Python programming languages, in Python programming language, if you want to defining the variable, you don't need to specify the data type. Okay, so automatically the Python will be specifying the data type, and automatically the memory location is assigned to the variables. Okay, how it is happening? Because of Python is the dynamic programming language, which means for every data instance, they already created some memory locations, they already created some predefined classes. Because of that one, because of that one okay, because of that one, you don't need to specify the memory location, and we don't need to specify the data type. Clear? See, and when comes to the integer data type, when comes to the integer, so the data in between minus infinity to plus infinity, okay, whatever the data we have it as a whole number, then it could be a integer data type. Okay, for example, I have a variable a, and which is holding the some bigger number. Is it larger number or not? And meanwhile, we can hold the any number, it can be negative. Okay, we can try to hold the any number as a zero. So from the minus infinity to plus infinity, so the whole number, okay, it's not a fractional number, it's a whole number or real number. Okay, then this kind of data type we are calling it same integer data type. If I want to know the data type of the any variable, then we can use the type function. And when you want to be find out the data type of the b, which is also integer, can be written. And if you try to go for find the data type of this one, see, so this is the data, this is the data, automatically the Python is recognizing which is integer instance. So that way the Python programming language has developed. Okay, so here if you are if you are assigning some integer instance to one particular variable, automatically the Python, what it is doing actually, which creating the integer object or integer class to this particular variable a. Meanwhile, this is also, it can be recognizing as the integer object by Python programming language, so that which is assigning to the integer class. Okay, and this is the 0, it's an integer data or integer instance, so automatically the data type or the predefined class, it integer can be, okay, inherited to this particular c variable. Okay, so if I go for finding the data type of this 3, so which is int class, right? You define it as integer, you define it a is an integer. Sumit, did you define it as an a is an integer before using the a?
No.
No, right? So how it is happening? Because of, so whatever the instance data you are assigning to the variable, automatically the Python will be recognizing its integer object. So this is the a which changing to integer class instance. Clear?
Yeah, clear.
So meanwhile, you are not assigning the any memory location to this a and b and c before using. And if I want to find the memory location, then simply we can use the function is id function. So with the help of the id function, we are finding the memory location of a, and meanwhile you're going to be finding the memory location of b, and meanwhile you're going to be finding the memory location of c. Try to observe here. So if you want to access the data, you can directly give the name, but if you want to access the memory location, we can use the id function. See, 140283652820592. This is the address. With this address, we are holding the this data with this particular name. I hope you got my point.
Yeah.
Jai, any questions here about
Uh,
integer type? So this is the data. Okay, so this is the data which is holding in this particular memory locations. Okay, and these memory locations are representing with these names. Okay, so this a b c are representing the this memory locations. In this particular memory location, this is the data has stored. Okay, but this is the memory locations we are holding this data, right? Because of this data, this particular variables, automatically the data type has assigned by the Python programming language. Clear?
yeah, clear.
Okay, okay, now, so if you want to note this information, you can note it. I just wait for some time. Done right?
Yeah, answer.
Okay. Now let's talk about the integer data, sorry, float data, a float data type. So float data type, which is also from minus infinity. If any data, it can be holding from minus infinity to plus infinity only, but it is a rational data, okay, or fractional data. So we can say that it's a fractional data or rational data. For example, if it is a 22 by 7, then what you can say? You're not saying every time 22 by 7, right? You might be saying that it's a 3.14, something like this, right? So when we are representing the data with fractional thing, then that particular data we are calling it's a float data. So basically the float data, it can be giving you when you want to be count some, okay, non-deterministic data. Actually, for example, if you want to saying that what could be your height, if I'm saying what could be your height, in the sense it's not exactly the 5.11, so it may be 5.11 something. There could be some even not countable information is there. So that kind of data, if you want to representing, then we can use the float data. Okay, so here, if anything which is negative number and it should have fractions, then that kind of data type we are calling it same, okay, float data. So here the data, it can be positive or negative, but it should have the fractional data. Okay, so I just want to go for find the data type and memory location, right? So here that free defined class, what is the free defined class here? Float is the free defined class. Here int is the free defined class for the integer data. Meanwhile, for float data type, float is the free defined class for that. Okay, note this example. Sumit, Vamshi and Jai, is this point is clear?
Yes. Yeah, clear.
The ID is just the value that you assigned it.
Memory location,
Memory location. Okay. So it's okay.
address. So with this specific memory location, so we are holding the data is this entire information. Okay, we are holding this information in this memory location with this name. So if you want to access this data, you can't remember this data as well as you can't remember this memory location. So we can access only some referencing names. The referencing names we are calling it variables. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now complex. So complex means, it's a number only, but it's a combination of the real number and plus imaginary number. For example, um, is anyone from mathematical background?
No.
So what is the value of 1 square?
One.
What is the value of minus 1 square?
One plus one.
Plus 1, right? Meanwhile, for example, if we have a square root of 1, then what could be the value of it? Square root.
Uh, 0
It's
point
1. It's 1 again.
okay.
Square root, right? Square root.
Okay.
Square root of 1, it could be 1. But if a data is negative number, square root of minus 1, hmm?
I think it's minus one.
Is it? I square is minus 1. I is a square root of minus 1. Okay.
It's one. It's one again.
No, it's not 1. It's a I. I means imaginary. You can't be figure out this one imaginary data. Okay, so you can't you should imagine only. So square root of -1. So this is the I is it's imaginary data. Okay, so mean in a mathematical notation, so I indicating that it's a square root of -1. So in mathematical notation, I equal to -1. So here I is the imaginary number. Okay, when we have square root of -1, when you want to be multiply with something with square root of -1, okay, then so that particular data we are calling it say imaginary data. For example, if a number which is multiply if a number we have some number, okay, so if you are multiply with -1, if you are multiplying with -1, you are changing the sign, right? Okay, so for example, if it is a -1 into -1, it's a +1. So here changing the sign or not? Okay, meanwhile, for example, if you have a +1, you are multiplying with -1, there you are not changing the sign. The sign could be the same. That means here it is here the value is -1, here also it's a -1, but here it is a -1, but you are multiplying with -1, then you are getting the +1. So the difference between the multiplication of minus and plus, so minus can be changing the sign of the existing data, plus is not changing the sign of existing data. This situation, if I'm doing the square root of 1, so this is not changing the, okay, this is not changing the, okay, sign. But when you are multiplying with -1, square root of -1, this kind of data we are calling it say imaginary data. This is also data, but we can't imagine it. Okay, we can't figure out actually. Okay, so that kind of numerical data also there in a mathematics. So that kind of mathematical data, that particular mathematical numbers, we can representing with complex numbers actually. Okay, so complex numbers means the combination of the real and imagined numbers, that we are calling it say complex numbers. This is a purely mathematical number. Okay, so if you don't know about complex numbers, don't worry. Without knowing knowledge of the complex also, you can become like Python developer. But thing is that it's a mathematical data. So they data means what? It's a mathematical things only, right? So here the complex also one type of data is there in mathematics. So that kind of data also the Python is supporting. So that kind of data we are calling it's a real plus imaginary. So in Python, real numbers can be representing with one number and the imaginary number representing with a j character. So every imaginary number, it is followed by the j character. If it is not j, then it's not a complex number. Okay. Clear, right?
Yeah, clear.
So for example, I have a data. So here the real number and imaginary number, that x and y, it can be integer number, it can be a float, anything you can store it actually. Okay, you can use it. So when a number which is followed by the j, then it's a imaginary number. Then that kind of data type we are calling it say complex data type. Clear? So here 5 is the y and x is the 45. So x is nothing but 45 is the real number and 5 is your imaginary number. Okay. Okay, this is about complex. Now, so we have the Boolean data type. Boolean data type means we can have a data, so true or false. The true we can represent, just excuse me, sorry. Okay, so true is the a Boolean true. So that particular Boolean true to representing we have a true keyword. Okay, so here the true is the keyword. So make sure that it's a capital T small r u e. It's a keyword. With help of the true keyword, we can representing the Boolean a true. Meanwhile, Boolean false. boolean false, boolean false. So if you want representing the boolean false, we can use the a false keyword. So here true and false are the keywords which are used to defining the boolean type of data. Boolean means true or false. So if you want to representing the true or false data in Python, we have a keyword which is true and false keywords. Is it clear my point? When we are holding the keyword true, then the a is becomes it's a boolean, and when we are holding some variable as a false keyword, then it changed as the boolean data type. The b is changed as the boolean data type. Meanwhile, if you go for find the type of b, then it was boolean, right? Is it clear?
Yeah, clear.
Okay, now none type. So when comes to the none type, so when I don't want to be hold anything, so simply I just want to be create some empty space. Okay, so may and assign some empty space, empty data, empty memory location. So empty or data is not existed. Okay, no data. When you want to be hold, I just want to be create the variables in Python, but I don't want to be store any data. So that kind of the thing we are calling it say none type actually. So for creating the none type for data type, then we can use the none keyword. When you are holding the none, which means the a is not holding anything, there is no data in a, but the data type is it's a none type. Clear? So when you don't want to store any data, but in future I may require that particular name. So before using that one, I just want to define the variable. In maybe in future I have to use that name. For that one, I have to create some variable. So that variable we are calling it say it's a or any variable we can create. But when you are assigning the none, which means which is not holding any data. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So can you please note this information? Okay. Okay, now we are going to be discussing about the next data type, which is string data type. So string data type means it's a group of characters, right? It's a group of characters. So when you want to be hold the group of characters, how we can hold the group of characters? So we have to hold the group of characters in single quotes or double quotes or triple quote, whatever it is. Let me consider as the single quotes. Okay. So we can represent the string in 4 ways that we can discuss in upcoming classes. But initially, we can try to observe here. We can have some kind of group of characters. So if the group of characters we are holding in we are holding in a quotes, then that kind of data type we are calling it say string data type. Okay. So this is string data type. So now we can have the list data type. So when it comes to the list, so list means it's a multiple elements, multiple data elements. Here the data elements are integer, float, complex, string, any other data type. Okay, multiple data elements are in square brackets. When we are holding some kind of multiple data elements in a square brackets, then that kind of data type we are calling it say that kind of data type we are calling it's a list data type. In square brackets, you can hold the integer, we can hold the float, we can hold the complex data, we can hold the boolean data, okay, we can hold the none data, we can hold the string data, and if you want to be hold the list inside of the list also, we can do it actually. Okay, when we are holding the different multiple data elements or in a square brackets, then which is the data type is list data type. Okay, square brackets are representing the list, quotes are representing the strings. Okay, meanwhile, so we have the third data type. Okay, eighth data type. So if you want to note this two data types, string and list, I can wait for you. Note it. Note these three data types. Sorry, two data types. Jay and Vamshi, Sumit, are you following my points?
Yeah, can you list strings in the list data type?
Of course, we seen right. SOC.
Yes. Oh, okay, I can say that. Yeah.
So this is a string. The string we are storing in a list that we will do. Now we'll try to go for understanding the tuple, or some people can say that it's tuple. So the pronunciation can be anything. It's a tuple or tuple, a tuple or tuple. So we can use the open parenthesis and a closed parenthesis. Same type of data elements or different type of data elements, we are holding the inside of the square brackets, sorry, parenthesis. Then that kind of data type we are calling it a tuple data type. Just note this example. Okay, so that's about tuple data type. So within the parenthesis, same like a list only, but the representation has changed. And we have a difference between the list and tuple. Those kind of things we'll discuss in our upcoming classes actually. Okay, for each and every data type, we have to spend at least 1 hour to understand. Okay, so here I'm just showing you only representation part. So for example, so let's go for discussing about set data type. Set means multiple data elements we are holding inside of the curly braces. You might be getting an error because of using the list inside of the curly braces. Inside of the curly braces, we are using the list. So because of that one, we are getting an error. Okay, so if you remove this one, if you remove this list inside of the curly braces, then we are not getting any error. Okay, see, there is some limitations are there for holding the data in a set or curly braces. Those things also we'll discuss in upcoming classes. So here set we can representing multiple data elements, or we are holding in a curly braces, that we are calling it say set data type. Clear? Any questions regarding over these four data types? And last but not least, which is the dictionary data type. Dictionary means it's a collection of records. It's not data elements. Collection of records. Records means what? So pair of some key and value. Pair of key and value, that we are calling it say dictionary. Okay, or records. For example, student ID, student name. Student ID is the key for accessing the student name, right? Employee ID is the key for accessing the employee name, right? Meanwhile, every for example, PAN card, okay, or SSN. So if it is SSN, SSN is so it's a unique number for everyone, right? you don't have any 2 or 3 SSNs, right? You have only one SSN, right? Yes or no? Are you following my point?
Yes.
So there are some things are representing some values with some keys that we are calling it records. Okay, the data which is not there in records means what? How we can accessing the records? With the help of the keys only. Okay, so this kind of records we are holding in curly braces, same like a set only, and but we are holding the combination of the here the key and values are separated with a colon symbol. And so let me consider here I have the 3 records. 12, just you can take any examples here. 12 is my key and the corresponding value is 4.34, and 5 plus 6 is the key and the corresponding value is the true, none is the key and the corresponding value is SOC, right? So this kind of data, when you're rolling as a records, then that kind of data we are calling it's a dictionary data type. See, just try to observe here. There are 10 data types are there. String, list, sorry, there are 5 data types: string, list, tuple, set, and a dictionary. These 5 data types we should go for understanding for more information in upcoming classes. Tomorrow we'll talk about string, and it will take at least 2 days to understanding the string data type. That kind of information we are going to be understanding by tomorrow's class. Clear? So once I completed the string data type, then I can look for the list. Once I complete the list, then I can go for tuple, then set and dictionary. One by one, we can try to figure out this particular a week. So to understanding this particular 5 data types, it will take minimum of 5 hours. This 5 hours will talk about this particular a week. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay, so actually you guys are not given your mail IDs. Okay, so you can share your mail IDs to your training desk people or your consultancy people or your company people. Okay, they will share us your mail ID, so that I would like to try to provide the recordings for you guys. Okay, clear?
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye. Take care. Bye guys. See you. Take care.
Bye.
This
Take care.
is for today's class. We'll catch up next class.
Sure. Sure.